Welcome back everybody, MC here with another video, and today we are going to continue our Terraria playthrough. It is Terraria Expert in 1.4 and we are entering the dungeon for the first time today. So the dungeon is one of the most important parts of the game because when we go to the dungeon we're looking for a couple of very important items. As you can see, the water candle is important. But you can get those pretty much without having to defeat Skeletron to get into the dungeons. So it's important, but we could already have access to those. Our two most important things that we're looking for, however, are an item called the Plan, and we're looking for the Cobalt Shield. The reason why we're looking for the Plan is so that we can see pretty much every single wire in every single area of the game, so that we don't end up getting, well, killed by traps from the rest of the game on. And if I do die to a trap, it's through my own fault. So what we need first is we need to find the mechanic. After that, we need to find golden keys in order to open up these golden chests. And in one of these golden chests, we will find the Cobalt Shield. So why is the Cobalt Shield so important? The Cobalt Shield is a shield that prevents knockback. It's actually the reason why Skeletron, in my opinion, is so difficult, because you don't have the Cobalt Shield before you fight him. And it's such an important item because if you don't get knocked back in this game, you have a lot more control over fighting and your positioning in fights and damage control, and it stops you from getting stun knocked pretty much by Skeletron. So first of all, anyway, let's get the plan sorted. We found the mechanic, and the first thing we need to do is we need to buy one of each of her wiring items, including the mechanical lens, just in case anyone goes into the mechanic's inventory and forgets to buy the mechanical lens. Make sure you buy the mechanical lens if you want to make the plan straight away. And pretty much you want to get one of each of the other items that she has. You'll see it here in a moment which ones that I pick up when I kill these enemies. And pretty much you want to get some of her wire as well. So a little bit of inventory management here. I'm not going to be using a lot of these items, especially magic items, in this playthrough. So I'm not going to bother with the Aqua Scepter, for example, or the gun. And I have so many other items that I just want to get rid of and make some gold while I have a chance. I want to keep one platinum for the leaf wings as well, so we have to make sure that we don't end up overspending. So we are looking for each of her items that are related to wiring, and we also need some wire as well. And I always forget how much wire I need when it comes to these this little plan or this trick, but it's always 60. So if you're wondering how much you need to get 70, 60 for the recipe, and 10 so that you can actually do the wiring. And unfortunately here I managed to buy way too much wire, and then you'll see in a second that I decided to not even buy enough. So we're going to end up with 50, which is 10 less than what we need. Typical. But anyway, let's get the plan sorted. You also need the ruler. The ruler comes from the Goblin Tinkerer. So make sure you pick up the ruler while you have a chance. So it's pretty much all of her items plus the ruler at the Goblin Tinkerer's workshop. The plan was introduced into this game and it changed the gameplay completely when it comes to dungeons and temples, because you can literally see all wiring at all times without having to toggle. So as you can see here, I'm just going to grab another 10 wire so I can actually make the damn thing, and then maybe I'll collect a couple of wires later so I can start doing some wiring, because you kind of want to get some wiring going with the heart statue, for example. But most importantly anyway, we finally have the plan. Now the plan is going to do more than just show us where the wires are. It's also going to let us put down any color wire we want, and it's also going to allow us to cut any wire we want as well. So it's one of the best items in the game, and it covers so much. Like if you go onto the plan, and I don't show it here, but if you go onto the plan itself, you can toggle on the left the ruler, for example, which helps you place blocks easier. It's so nice. It's such a great item. and I'm really glad that they added it to the game and that it's an always on product. As you can see, all the wiring in the dungeon is now visible to me. So if you have any questions about how to get the plan, just ask, because I know plenty of people who don't know that it exists. And I also know plenty of people who, even when they see that it's been made, they can't get their head about what they're missing, because there's so many items required for it, and it's often confusing for players. So just let me know in the comments if you have any confusion over the plan itself. But now we're on the quest now to find the Cobalt Shield again. We really want to get this Cobalt Shield so we'll have no more knockback. And that'll stop us from getting stun locked, especially in fights versus Skeletron, for example, including Skeletron Prime. Any boss pretty much that does mini knockback that will chain stun you, you want to avoid that. So Cobalt Shield, very important. One of the two most important accessories in the game, in my opinion. If you want to beat Terraria, I wouldn't say easily, but with ease, I suppose, is you need to make sure that you have the Cobalt Shield and the necklace as well. I'll show you the necklace later, and we'll be getting that in hard mode. It's one of my favorite parts of the game, actually, in terms of grinding. It's one of my favorite things about Terraria, in a way. You're never guaranteed any of these items. You're pretty much going to have to farm them yourself, and it's kind of like, it gives you MMO vibes a little bit without the being online part. It's a single player experience where you have to grind for items and you're waiting on important drops in order to progress in the game. And I don't know many other games that are like that, especially when it comes to single player. So we just got an alchemy table there, as you can see. Alchemy table allows us to create potions, and you have a chance that the potion doesn't cost any ingredients. So say if I'm making 15 iron skin potions, sometimes you'll get 20 for the price of 15. Sometimes you'll even get 30 for the price of 15. It'll double the amount of potions you can make. So always grab the alchemy table as soon as you can, as soon as you see it in the dungeon. So that's another very, I wouldn't say important item, but it's useful. And then there's actually another table that you can get very soon, and it's a summoner table, which allows you to spawn an extra summon for free. So you should have that active pretty much the entire game if you're allowed to use summon. If you're allowing yourself to use summons, always have the summoner table active. I'll also be showing you the best summons that you can get in the game later on. When it comes to the best summon that you can get in the pre-hard mode, I'd recommend getting the Molten Staff. But also, if you're looking for something strong in the hard mode, when you enter hard mode, definitely the Spider Staff. I'll be getting that as soon as I get into hard mode, so you won't miss it. And I'll also make a kind of side video on how to get it, how to prepare for it, and how to find the spiders easily, how to fight them, because they're very difficult. And I just want to make sure that everyone is suited up and ready for hard mode by getting the Spider Staff. Very, very important item, and one of the most fun items in the game as well. You'll see why later on in the playthrough. I'm impressed by this dungeon. Sometimes when you are playing Terraria, you'll notice that the dungeons are either too small or they're awkward to maneuver. This one's very easy to maneuver, thank God. And I find it's large enough as well for a small world. Small world dungeons tend not to be as intricate or with as many walkways, but I definitely find that this particular one has good walkways, good room, good areas for farming, and just plenty of light areas as well. So that's great. I love it. By the way, if you're looking for golden keys, one of the best ways to get golden keys is these slimes. They're usually the ones that drop the golden key if anyone is ever having any issue. I don't really know many people who have ever had issues not getting enough golden keys in the dungeon because they're all over the place. But just in case you are, I'd recommend going up against the mother slime. So, now we also have a shadow key. Don't forget, guys, if you're ever wondering about the shadow key and whether or not you should keep them, you only need one for the entire playthrough. So if you get multiples, you can sell them or throw them away. You only need one to open all the chests in hell. So you don't need to keep big stacks. So here we have another alchemy table. Might as well pick that up and use it whenever we are making potions away from the main base. And then over here we have the summoner's table as well. As I said, summoner's table is very important, or the bewitching table is the official name actually. And it allows you to summon an extra summon on top of whatever you have. Even if you already have, say, 6 summons, you can summon 7 summons now. And it only lasts for a couple of minutes, so you should have it always active as soon as you start using summons. I don't know if we're going to be getting the Molten Staff for summoning in this playthrough. I'm pretty sure we will, to be honest. But if we don't, we will be using it for the Spider Staff 100%. It's always good to have extra spiders since they're so strong. So we've almost done lighting up the entire dungeon. It's been a good dungeon, as I said, so far. Now all we need is that damn Cobalt Shield, and we will be golden to continue our playthrough. Next step in our playthrough is to create a Hell Elevator and get ready for Wall of Flesh. It's almost time for hard mode, and we have 1 platinum for our Leaf Wings. We have... You guys can't see this, but I have the spiders ready. I know where they are, and I'm also going to be creating beds so that we can spawn quickly or teleport quickly around the map to get all of those as soon as we enter hard mode and give ourselves a chance at defeating all of the hard mode enemies. They're not that difficult, but with the big drop-off is the drop-off of your armor and damage as soon as you enter hard mode is the big thing. We need to overcome that, because the bee's knees is great and the space gun is great, but as soon as you hit hard mode, the enemies just have way too much health, especially if you get something like a blood moon during hard mode, or if you get, say, another event during hard mode. It can ruin you, especially if you get the pirate invasion early, and most people do, so you got to be careful of that. So anyway, it looks like we are almost done here in the dungeon. We should have our key to open our chest, and lo and behold, we have the Cobalt Shield. So it's going to grant us immunity to knockback. So that will be it for today's episode. Thank you very much for hanging out with us today. We'll be back the next day, and we'll probably be creating our elevator and getting ready for Wall of Flesh, and then setting up all of the hard mode stuff that I mentioned, getting the spiders ready, getting the leaf wings ready, getting the beds ready, and I'll show you all that as well. Thank you very much for hanging out, and I'll see you again in the next video. Ta-ta!